Written by Dragon Blazer. Humans were never meant to be able to draw perfect circles. For millennia, people of all ages attempted the feat, from young children to elder scientists, and everyone in between. After drawing one perfectly on your first attempt, you finally understand the ramifications behind your actions. I've looked at it for 5 hours now. If I had known 6 hours ago that I would have drawn a perfect circle on my very first try, I might have gotten a bevy of people to witness the feat. My parents were giving me steady hands. Probably. A Guinness recorder. Rectifier? Approver? Whoever they were, they would probably be accompanied by a documentary crew, and that one person dressed in a suit would measure the circumference of the circle, nod gravely, then turn to the camera and hold up a pre-printed certificate, smile, and proclaim me to be the first human to draw a perfect circle. Because this was a perfect circle. I had just drawn it on a whim, and didn't realize it until it had stewed on paper for about an hour before my eyes were inevitably drawn to its immaculate roundness, unblemished radius, a shining example of pie drawn freehand. It was perfect. I didn't need a compass or calipers or some other weird instrument to measure what I knew in my heart of hearts. If there were people with me, they would have left by now. Maybe I would have poured myself a drink, loosened my imaginary necktie, and let it hang, still marveling at my work. It was utterly, completely perfect, right? There was nothing that needed to be changed about it. I should frame it, hang it on my wall, along with the world record certificate, and guests will realize that it is a perfect circle, and they will congratulate me, showering honeyed compliments and muttering envenomed jealousies under their breath. It was totally, absolutely, perfectly perfect. And so I took another piece of paper and tried to do it again. This one wasn't perfect. It was rather obvious, poked in its side like an askew blob. It didn't even close properly, for God's sake. No matter, it was merely a hiccup for the genius that is my right hand. So I drew another one. This wasn't perfect either. This was squiggly. My hand wavered along the path, and while it closed, the path it took was not a faultless path. I couldn't stop myself from drawing another one, and another. And one more after that, and more, till my wrist ached, shot with a strain, and my palm found itself colored by graphite, and my eyes were probably bloodshot and poked out a little more as I stared my damnedest at each circle. I was improving, well, except for my first one, but blemishes remained, sticking out like a baby cuckoo, crying at the top of its lungs, bringing me to its attention, wearily and tiredly. I could not bear to look at my first circle. It must have felt betrayed by what I've done. There was nothing I could do to surpass it, for it was perfect in every which way and dimension, but I could have at least equaled it. And as I failed again and again, I had to suppress the urge to throw all the rest away, then take my first circle and lock it safely away, and throw away the key, keeping the one exemplary work I've managed to accomplish in forever safety, never to be gazed upon. I did not know how many hours I spent on my desk. I did not know how many pieces of paper I've used, and how many circles I've drawn on each. These circles did not even deserve their own home, their own plotted piece of land, for they were not perfect. My head jolted up, and as my bleary eyes cleared ever so slightly, I saw bright light now entering through the window, the sun assaulting me with its undesired rays. I must have fallen asleep. I could not tell whether it was for minutes or hours. And so I yawned, reaching my hand out, hearing the scrunch of paper beneath my palm. Yet, the crisp scrunch sound it emitted made my blood run cold. I slowly turned over my hand, only to realize that my first ever circle, my perfect child, betrayed by my tired limb, lay destroyed. I looked it over and over and looked at the once pristine paper, now crushed and weathered, drawn by my hand and transformed by it. It was no longer a perfect circle. Yet, for some reason, I did not despair. Instead, I felt freed. Aside from the concentrated agony I felt in my arm, the remnants of a syrupy, too-good drink at the bottom of the cup. I gathered the various sheets of paper into a pile, placing them neatly at the top of the table. The crumpled, once perfect one, I could not bear to put anywhere but on top. Then, I grabbed my now stubby pencil. I inhaled deeply and exhaled, feeling musty air enter my lungs. It was not entirely pleasant, but well needed. And then, I drew the perfect square.